Hallelujah, all people. The judgment of God will be upon all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the entire earth. The judgment of wrath, 13 plagues of great tribulation, and the judgment of Jehannam, the lake of fire. How the judgment of 13 plagues of great tribulation will be before recreation of new earth. In the first plague of great tribulation, the rain of hells of molten burning fire will fall any time from the sky to the remaining settlement areas, homestead, business centers, markets, private office, public office, and industrial areas of all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations, and their properties, their buildings, trees, electrical supply, and all satellites surround the earth will be burned and consumed to ashes. But the camps areas of elects of God, all who will receive the final grace of God in all nations, will be safe in peace and harmony. In the second plague of great tribulation, the huge melting burning asteroids with fire will fall any time from the sky to all oceans of the entire earth, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arabian, Mediterranean oceans, where the cargo ships and fishing activities of all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations will be, and many of their cargo ships and fishes in the seas will be consumed to ashes. But the camps areas of elects of God, all who will receive the final grace of God in all nations, will be safe in peace and harmony. In third plague of great tribulation, the drops of one voodoo stars, shining like a torch, will fall any time from the sky to all wells of underground water, rivers, and lakes, which supply water services to remaining settlement areas of all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the entire earth. One voodoo stars will contaminate water with corrosive poison, and all who will drink water will die. By the camps areas of elects of God, all who will receive the final grace of God in all nations will be safe in peace and harmony. In the fourth plague of great tribulation, the sun, moon, and all the stars of sky will be darkened. Until those days, the sun, moon, and all the stars of sky will no longer shine on earth, and only one huge morning star will appear on the sky at east side of the earth. East star as a sign of coming King of Kings. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations will work hard to make huge lamps that can bring the intensity light for living. But the camps areas of elects of God, all who will receive the final grace of God in all nations, will be safe in peace and harmony. The lamps of camps will be shining 24 hours, that the people may live as a day lighting. And in those days, all elects of God in all nations will be prepared for rapture of clouds of glory and calling of trumpets. In fifth plague of great tribulation, the bottomless pit of hell will be opened, and the atmosphere of the whole earth will fill with the smoke of great furnace that come from the pit. Countless locusts of bottomless pit of hell will be ascending and fill the face of the whole earth. And all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will be tormented with pain, suffering, agony, and sorrow. In sixth plague of great tribulation, 4 groups of countless of angels of destruction will be released from their cages, from the beneath of the sea, and countless of angels of destruction will fill the whole earth, riding their horses, look like monsters, and furnace fire come out of their mouth. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will be killed by the snake tails of their horses, by drink their blood, and the angel of destruction will consume their flesh. In seventh plague of great tribulation, the scary and dangerous viral disease will fill the whole earth. The name of virus will be called palm virus. The palm virus will contaminate all the water bodies, seas, lakes, and rivers, and entire atmospheric air. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will suffer with this viral disease. When the virus enters the body, the virus pumps the red blood cell. In about 6 hours, the entire body of a person is full of painful, rotten sores. In eighth plague of great tribulation, by the power of wrath of God, all seas of the whole earth turn into the blood of dead men, and a stinky smell will come out of the water. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will suffer greatly with a strong thirsting that will be upon them. In ninth plague of great tribulation, by the power of wrath of God, all lakes, rivers, and fountains, and drinks will turn into the blood of dead men with a great stinking smell. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will suffer greatly with a strong thirsty and hunger that will be upon them. In 10th plague of great tribulation, the sun will descend on the face of the earth, and the atmosphere of entire earth will fill with heating fire. The temperature of the atmosphere of the whole earth will be about 300 to 500 centigrade, and the atmosphere of the earth will cover with cosmic rays. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will be burned with a great heat that comes from the sun. In 11th plague of great tribulation, the whole earth will fill with a deep smoke darkness, and the deep smoke darkness in the atmosphere of the whole earth will cause the lamp of any kind to give no light. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will be like a blind people, by not recognize one another. In 12th plague of great tribulation, all seas, rivers, lakes, and springs of water in the face of the whole earth will dry. It will be the great drought in the face of the whole earth. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will suffer greatly with a strong thirsting and hunger that will be upon them, and many will die for great hunger. In 13th plague of great tribulation, the last one, the foundation land of all the earth will be removed, and all buildings of all nations on the land, all mountains, all hills, all lanes, plateaus, and all islands on the face of earth's surface will be removed. And mega earthquake will shake the whole earth, and huge block hailstones will fall upon the people and on earth. All who will reject the final grace of God in all nations of the whole earth will find a place to hide themselves, but they will not find. They will say to the rocks and mountain, fall to us that we can escape the judgment of King of Kings and Kings of the earth. Many will die by hailstones and mega earthquake. Then the great war of judgment will follow between the Antichrist Nimrod, together with his follower, the remains of all who will reject the final grace of God in all nations, and King of Kings of the new earth, together with the kings of the new earth,